Hey everyone, Criddle here, and in this video we're going to go over the Wizard class in Monsters and Memories. We'll cover how I would build the class and stat priority, the Wizard's role in a group, how well the Wizard can solo, and finally take a look at some of the skills and abilities. The Wizard is the premier caster DPS class in Monsters and Memories with its hard-hitting direct damage spells. No other class can come close to the speed at which the Wizard can take down a foe. Wizards can be Dwarf, Gnome, and Human, and I suspect Deep Dwarf, Deep Elf, Deep Gnome, and High Elf to also be options in the future. As for stats, the Wizard really only needs one, and that's Intelligence, which increases their max mana pool. Aside from that, Stamina is probably the next best stat for the added health, as Wizards have less health than most other classes. That leaves 3 points to spend, and I could make an argument for either Strength for the added weight capacity and physical damage, or Dexterity for the added hit chance. Yes, both can matter for the Wizard, but we'll talk more about that later. For the major combat trait, I believe there to be only one option here, and that is Intelligent, again for the extra mana. Do note that the active ability of Intelligent trait only increases your max mana and not your current mana, making it not worth casting at this time. There is one case in which it might be worth using, and like the hit chance, we will talk about that later when we get to the Wizard spells. For the minor combat trait, there are a couple of choices, but I believe one stands out above the rest. The main benefit of the minor combat trait is you learn a skill 25% faster. Because of this, I would rule out the casting skills for various reasons. Abjuration and Divination are mostly used for buffs and would be cast out of combat, making fizzles, when a spell fails to cast but still costs mana, less impactful. Alteration is for heals, which the class doesn't have, gates and teleports, which are mostly cast out of combat, and debuffs, where I believe root is the only one that Wizards have. Conjuration, which Wizards hardly use, if at all, and lastly, Evocation, which will be casting a lot and keeping it max should be easy. Channeling, which helps prevent interrupts when taking damage, is also a casting skill, but it has a chance to skill up with every spell cast, again making it easy to keep capped. This leaves combat skills like offense, defense, bludgeoning, and slashing. Personally, I would take defense for when I inevitably pull aggro with a big hit and have to take a few hits. While I don't want to be taking hits often, it is nice to have high defense for those times that I do, and this trait will help keep it leveled up. There is an argument, however, for offense or either bludgeoning or slashing, and I believe that offense is the better choice as you never know which weapon you might be using, and offense works with both. Again, we will discuss this further when we get to Wizard spells. Major non-combat trait is generally the same for every class, and I would choose Master Artisan if I plan to do trade skills, or Forage for the free food and water. Fast and slow metabolism, in my opinion, are not worth it, as food is fairly cheap and easy to obtain, and currently Endurance doesn't do much other than allow you to jump a few extra times. As for Iron Lungs, it is easily replaced with the Endure Breath spell. While Infravision and Ultravision can be nice for seeing in the dark, you can also use a light source or adjust your monitor to compensate. And finally, we have minor non-combat trait, which is up to you. Choose whichever trait you want based on the trade skill you want to level, or if you want to level several, find the one that would be most difficult for the extra 5% chance to skill up. As for skills, the Wizard starts off with all the basic combat and casting skills needed. They unlock Channeling and Meditation, which gives mana while sitting, at level 4, which I recommend returning to your trainer and putting 1 point into them to get them started. Wizards also get Dual Wield at level 20. This is partly why I recommended Dexterity earlier, and Wizards may want to be meleeing more than you would think. Moving on to spells, Wizards are unrivaled when it comes to direct damage. They have many to choose from, with Fire being the highest damage, Cold, which adds a movement speed debuff, and Electric, which has a short stun built in. Each of these also have a less resistible version for when an enemy is highly resistant or before they are debuffed by allies. In addition to their direct damage spells, Wizards also have a spell haste buff they can cast on themselves or allies, which further increases their DPS by shortening the cast times of their spells, and a self buff, Arcane Infusion, which gives mana regeneration as well as additional cast speed. Another powerful feature of Arcane Infusion is when a wizard gets the final hit on an enemy with an offensive spell, a portion of the mana cost is refunded based on the effective damage dealt. This means if you use your biggest damage spell with high mana cost on an enemy with little health left, you will be refunded a large portion of the mana used. Now let's talk about the spell I've been hinting at this entire time and why Wizards may want to focus on being able to hit enemies in melee combat. That spell is Seal of Magic, which is a self-only buff that grants you a chance of casting Mark of Magic on your target. Mark of Magic increases all spell damage dealt to them by a small amount per stack, which stacks up to 5 times. This Mark of Magic, however, only lasts for 15 seconds, so to keep it active, you would need to continue attacking and hope for procs. This is where Dexterity and your offense skill would be beneficial for those additional procs. Here is where you would say, well, shouldn't wizards be sitting to meditate? And yes, normally that is true, but wizards have a spell called Arcane Invocation, which when used restores a large amount of mana every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. This would allow the wizard to regain mana without having to sit and meditate during combat. This is also where having the Intelligent trait could be used and followed up with Arcane Invocation to top off their mana before quickly spending that mana, effectively getting a free cast at the start of a fight. The question now is, which is better? Melee attacking for the slight damage increase from those attacks and the off chance to proc for a possible increase in spell damage, or just meditating and casting additional direct damage spells? I believe this would depend a lot on playstyle, solo versus group makeup, and gear. Time will tell, but keep that in mind when making your wizard. The last spells I want to call out are the wizard teleports, which allow the wizard and their party to teleport to specific locations throughout the world. These are highly valuable spells that only 2 classes in the game receive, and a great reason to choose wizard. In addition to their teleports, wizards are the only class to get evacuation, which teleports your entire party to a safe location within the current zone. Overall, wizards have the highest DPS potential for short bursts with their direct damage spells. On top of that, wizards have a variety of playstyles available to them, opening up to a larger group of players with both solo and group focused playstyles in mind. Last but not least, their ability to teleport and evac will make them highly sought after. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you enjoyed the content or found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and follow for more. Also be sure to tune into my Twitch streams where we'll be playing and chatting about Monsters and Memories as well as many other games. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!